Hey everyone, the goal of this video is to teach you how to solve equations with algebra tiles using all the legal moves that we've learned in class the last couple days. You'll also learn how to check your solution using tiles to see if your answer is correct. Be sure to take notes on the note sheet that was given out in class and make sure you're copying down the examples carefully with me.
Before we look at the examples, let's make sure we have the steps recorded. Alright, step one to solving an equation. Once you have all the tiles built, you want to combine your like terms, which is like making zero pairs. You guys have gotten really good at doing this. We've been practicing that for a while now. Step two, you want to remove the same amount from both sides. So if you have an x on the left and an x on the right, you can take that off of both mats. Or if you have a -2 on the left and a -2 on the right, you take that off of both mats. Okay, then you want to work on getting all the x's alone on one side of the mat, and then all the unit tiles are the ones alone on the other side of the mat. For number 4, you're going to add the same amount to both sides if you need to in order to get the x's alone, and you'll see that in the examples for how we do that. And then finally, you need to decide what value of x would make both sides of the mat equal to each other. So we're no longer comparing the two mats like we were previously. Now we're trying to figure out what would x be in order to make the left side equal to the right side. So let's see what that looks like with an example. Okay, this is number 1. We're asked to solve the equation. We're trying to figure out what value of x would make the left side equal to the right side. Let's start by writing down the equation as it's built. So let's see, what's on mat A? Well, I have 3x, and then I have plus negative x, or you could do minus x. And then I have plus 6. Okay, I counted all these up. Then I'm going to put my equal sign. Notice there's not a question mark there anymore. We're not comparing, we're saying they're equal to each other. And then on the second mat we have x plus negative x plus 3 plus -1. So now I recorded all these on the right side of my equal sign. Okay, so that's what's built there. Now let's use our legal moves to simplify this as much as we can. I'm going to start with making my zero pairs, or combine my like terms. So on the first mat, I see a 0 here. That's all I have. On the second mat, I can make a 0 pair there and a 0 pair here. All right, step 2, let's remove any tiles from both mats that show up on both mats. So any of the same amount of tiles from both sides. So the first mat has 2, and the second mat has 2, so we can pull that off. All right, and let's see what we're left with now. On the first mat, I have 2x plus 4. I'm going to just record that below here so I can see I have 2x plus 4. And what do I have left over here? Nothing, so we're going to put 0. So right now we have 2x plus 4 equals 0. Okay, but we didn't finish our steps. Our third step is to try to get x's alone on one side and the 1's on the other. And in order to do that, we're going to use step 4, which is add the same amount of tiles to both sides so that our x's are alone. Our x's are positive, right? So let's keep them where they are, but we need to get rid of these 4 positives. How can we do that? We talked about this in class a little bit yesterday as well. We can add 4 negatives to both sides, right? Because if I add 4 negatives over here, I would like you to draw a rectangle around your name on your note sheet. Okay, now let's check our answer. We figured out on the last slide that x equals -2. So now we need to check it and see if we put -2 in for all of our x's, will it make the left side equal the right side? Here's how we'll do it with the tiles. Anytime we see x, we're going to put -2. So there's a -2, -2, -2. We know all these are just 1's because our units always stay the same. But now the tricky part is this one right here. This is a -x tile, or we remember we talked about it also being the opposite of x. So if x is -2, then the opposite of x is +2. Okay, it's a -2, which makes a +2. It's kind of tricky. Okay, let's look on the right side. X I put negative 2. Again, we have the opposite of x, so the opposite of negative 2 is 2. And then this is a negative 1, a 1, a 1, and a 1. And now we're going to add up each side and see if they equal each other. If the left side equals the right side, we know that our solution is correct. Okay, so I've got negative 2, negative 2, negative 2, that's negative 6. Plus 2 is negative 4, plus 6 equals 2. So the value of the left mat is 2. And then over on the right, if I add negative 2 plus 2, that's 0. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Plus 1 plus 1 is 2. Since the left mat equals the right mat, we know that our solution is correct. X equals negative 2. Now, don't think that this right here has to equal what we got for x, okay? This just tells us that the left mat equals the right mat when x equals negative 2. So our actual solution is x equals negative 2. All right, we got a solution of x equals 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute 1 in every time we see x on our mats, and then see what the value of each side is. So I have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then all of my white x's are my negative x's, so that's negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. And in this case, all my unit tiles are still always just 1 and negative 1. We've got a lot of 1s here. Over on the right, I've already labeled my two x's. Let's do negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. This is also negative 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Check and make sure that every tile has a number written on it, either 1 or negative 1 depending. Okay, now we need to see how many this left side totals up to. It can get kind of messy, so I'm just going to kind of cross them out as I go so I know I don't count anything twice. I've got those two cancel. That cancels, so those are all zeros. 1 and negative 1 makes 0, 1 and negative 1 makes 0. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left on the first mat. I'm going to do the same thing on the second mat. Simplify. So 1 and negative 1 makes 0. 1 and negative 1 makes 0. 1 and negative 1 makes 0. Here's a negative 1 and a 1. That makes 0. And I count up. I have 5 on that mat. Since the mat on the left equals the mat on the right, we just proved that x equals 1 is our solution. That's the number that fits in for x that would make the left mat equal the right mat. The final step in this homework assignment is to try an example by yourself. I want you to either copy this sketch onto the back of your notes page, or you can screenshot it and put it in Notability. Just make sure you can find it tomorrow. I want you to start by recording the original equation. So what's built on the left, set it equal to what's built on the right. Solve the equation using the legal moves. Make sure we can tell what your answer is. You should end with x equals something. Check your answer and bring this example to class with you tomorrow.